Hi everyone, Jamie here with Sweet Pickins. I am so glad you are here. So we are going to do a DIY using the same paper we used the other day because we have extra, and I already had plans to put this paper on this really cool vintage style watering can. It is vintage. I'm guessing it's probably from the 70s. So I'm from the 70s and I'm not vintage. So I say that very loosely. It's a great watering can. My cousin Missy gave it to me. She found it in her garage and her and Jeff offered it up. So I thought it was so nice. So it's very cool, but it needs something, right? So I think I want to do paper, the tissue paper on this, and then we can use it as actual place for fresh flowers. I'm not going to use it, to water the plants or anything, but I just thought it'd be really great in the house or even out on the, out on the back patio, on the table with some fresh flowers. I just think that would be so awesome. So I wanted to bring you guys along while I did this. So the whole point to this is find some old stuff, find something that's all tattered and yucky, and you can give it new life and repurpose it. Go to garage sales, look in your own garage, go to thrift stores, ask neighbors if they have stuff. I mean, everyone has stuff they want to get rid of. I mean, just ask people if they have any old watering buckets or anything, old cans or anything like that. So I just thought this was really cool. So just never discount something that's old and tattered and used. And I have to say, this actually is really cool looking just the way it is. And I did not even clean it, to be honest with you. I did not clean it because I wanted to keep the patina all throughout here because we're not going to put anything up here. It's just going to be around the sides. And I have not decided if we're going to do anything on the spout yet. So I want to get into this first and then make the decision. So if you guys have some really cool tissue paper you guys use for wrapping presents or putting in bags for presents, use it. If you don't, you can go buy and purchase tissue paper, but you don't have to use tissue paper. There's so many things you could do. For this project, you're not going to really want to use wrapping paper or paper because you really need it to mold because it's a round surface. However, tissue paper works good, but if you would like to do something, say you have a can or a watering can like this, it's metal, you could take and print flowers on your printer, just on regular paper, cut them out and then just put them going this way. Start them at the bottom, go up, go all the way around. That would be super cute. So you could use paper in that aspect. But as far as wrapping it goes, you're gonna have a lot of problems. There is ways to make actual computer paper thinner. First of all, buy cheap printer paper. Another thing you could do is actually take tape, packing tape, and carefully take layers off with the packing tape. It's a little bit of a process, but it is doable. So we are going to use this one. This is what we used before on the heart. Let me grab the heart so I can show you guys. I actually have it sitting right here. I put it on our mantle. So this is the heart we made in another video, and I used the same paper. This paper, I think it came with 20 sheets or 10 sheets. I honestly can't remember, but they're big. They're big sheets. You can see. So this, I'm gonna use a brand new sheet for this. I'm not gonna try to put all these little remnants of the tissue paper. I don't want to fuss with that, honestly, because I just feel like it's going to be too much to try to piece together and it may not look so great. So let's get started. So you're going to need Mod Podge, and I like the yellow label. This is a matte Mod Podge. I have my sponge brush, which this is the one I used on the heart. I always try to get lots of uses out of these. I don't want to just use it one time and throw it away, so I put it in a baggie. That was a couple days ago, and it's perfectly soft. I have this is my gator, and this is a sander. If you guys don't have a gator, it fits right in your hand and you could sand with it. These are awesome. And then I have scissors, and then whatever you want to use. So this project really doesn't take that much, and honestly, this is a free upcycle. It's not costing me anything because I already have the tissue paper. The can was given to me. I already had the Mod Podge, so it's honestly a free project. So what I want to do is just see how far this is gonna go around. It's eyeballing it. See, I was hoping it would go all the way around. It's just a tiny bit short. So we may use a remnant. I just have a piece of remnant fall. We may use a remnant for one of the little sides. So I don't want to waste this. So I think what we're gonna do, yeah. So see how this goes in half? I never like to waste. Never like to waste. So I don't want to ruin all of this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have this. And I'm having it long ways. Okay, so I have 2 halves. So most likely we are not even gonna use this. So look, we have a whole half sheet, full half sheet to use for another project. I really love this paper for lining drawers. I really, really like this because it's so neutral. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we are gonna start, I think what my plan is to start at the front and go around, and we're gonna have to cut and work around this, which is fine, and we'll go all the way around. Ideally, you would probably want your, since it's not big enough, your piece to be in the back. However, I wanna keep it, meaning if I did it from front to back, I'd have to have it, right? Half this way, half that way. And I don't necessarily know that I want to do it. I kind of want to keep it as a full piece. But now that I say that, maybe let's try that. Now that I said that, see, this is trial and error. I've never Mod Podged tissue paper on a can before in all my, 30 years of crafting. So I think we'll do that. Let's just try that. So, and again, there's no right or wrong. Honestly, this might be easier. Okay, so see how that'll be? And we'll go do it around. And then what we'll do is we'll just get up here in the grooves, and then we'll take our sander and get the rest of that off. Okay, I think that's better too because it will give us smaller sections to work with. Again, when you've never done this, if you're a crafter, if you've never done this before, it's trying new things and just trying and making it work as you go. Okay. So the one thing with this is you're gonna want to work with your Mod Podge quickly. You're gonna wanna make sure you put an even layer on, but not too thick and not too thin. So I know you're like, okay, well then, how does that look? So my whole thought to saying that is you wanna make sure that it's covered, but you don't want to make sure it's globbing, because if it globs, you're going to have a bigger mess and it's going to be harder in the long run. So I'm going to show you guys. Let me just lay some of this down. We're going to work in sections. We'll do one section and then we'll flip it over and do another section. But I'm going to show you what I mean by an even look. So if it's too thin, it's gonna be, basically think of it as see-through if it's too thin. And you really don't want it to be too thin. Make sure whatever surface you're using, you're really getting in those grooves and those corners, because those are going to give you some problems if you don't. You'll get lifting on all your corners or down in any crevices that you have, and you really don't want that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go to this handle and I'm gonna show you guys. You can see I'm making sure I'm getting in there. See how it's white, but it's not too thick. It's movable. There's no globs. Just make sure it's perfect, but move quickly. Okay, so there it is. See that? All right, so let's lay this down. Okay. Doesn't have to be perfect. You're gonna get some wrinkling because that's what happens with tissue paper. But honestly, it's not bad. It adds a lot of character. Okay, so you're gonna lay it down. I always, when I'm working with tissue paper, I always use my hands. I never use a brayer, or I never use any kind of card or hard surface. A lot of people use cards of some kind, or they'll use like a brayer or some kind of like roller. I never do that with tissue paper because tissue paper rips so incredibly easy. So what I like to do is I like to use my hands. Now you can see I'm literally just using my hands to flatten this down. Then I'm using my fingers to get into all the crevices and all of the grooves. Georgie's getting some water. Puppies are out, hanging out with me while I'm crafting. So you just want to make sure that it's laying down. So you can see it so far. Isn't that pretty? Oof, that's so pretty. Okay, so what I need to do, because I have a handle. So when you guys are, whatever surface you're working with, you might not have handles, so you don't have to worry about this. However, I want to keep this together as much as possible. So I'm gonna try to piece it together, cutting it. Georgie, come lay down. Georgie, you can't go outside right now. Come lay down. Okay, let me show you guys. So you can see where I cut it here. So this part can lay this way and this can lay inside. So you're just gonna have to work and manipulate your tissue paper as you go. So let's throw a little bit of Mod Podge just like we did before. And you're only gonna wanna go as much as you have paper. So try not to add a lot of extra. You don't really want to add a lot of extra because you don't want that globbing up, because we're going to have to put Mod Podge over the top of it. So you can see what I'm doing here. I just cut that piece and I'm just using my hand. So that piece just laid right around. I know it might be a little hard to see. So again, if you don't have a handle, you don't have to worry about this. If you don't have any weird angles, you don't have to worry about this. It actually will be easier. But tissue paper lays so incredibly well. However, tissue paper rips so incredibly well. All right, so let me lay this down and then I'll show you guys. Okay, so what I did, see how I went underneath the handle? So you can see, here's some wrinkling, no big deal, it just gives character. But what I would like to do while it's still wet and still movable and pliable, I wanna go over it a little bit more with my fingers. But you're definitely gonna get wrinkling. There's no way around it, honestly. I'm just taking off a little bit of extra Mod Podge that I had. But this is why you just use your hands. And just work it. And you're always gonna wanna work out, because any extra Mod Podge, get it out of there. Don't have it sitting and laying. Okay. So there's that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually do this right now. I'm just gonna take my gator here and get this off because I don't want to have to fuss with it. I don't want to have to worry about it. I don't have to deal with it. And I don't want to lay it down to where it actually pulls itself up. Be very careful when you're doing this. Go down and swipe down. Down, swipe down. Down, swipe down. So I hit it down, swipe down. Down, swipe down. That's what you're going to want to do because if you're not careful, sandpaper will rip. Okay, so we just took that off. So see how it's looking so far? Okay. So I think we're good right here. There's a little tiny section right in here that doesn't have paper. And instead of trying to cut the other side and manipulate that tiny little piece right here, I'm gonna try just to put a piece in there. That way we don't have to worry about it. Because I would like to start right where this is here. I'd just like to start with a new piece. And the good thing is the handle part, you're not gonna really see or pay attention to any of that. So it's not gonna look bad. I'll lay this piece down. So that's the extra from the first piece. And then let's just lay this little tiny, let me cut it a little more. I like to make these as precise as possible because when you take the time to make them precise, you can't tell that it's cut and paste, basically layered. You can't tell. If you use small pieces, you really push it in, you can't tell. Okay, so what I'm gonna do here, you can see there's still a little spot, no big deal. We're gonna start the paper right here and it's gonna go over. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll take our other side, we're gonna do the same exact thing. So we're gonna put Mod Podge on. And I'm gonna slightly put it over the other piece of Mod Podge. The other piece of the tissue paper. I'm just gonna slightly put it over that, just so they can overlap a tiny bit. Then you won't see any of those, little cuts or where it wasn't exactly perfect and lined up. You won't be able to tell essentially that it was two pieces. You can be really heavy-handed when you're putting on Mod Podge at first. Like you could see, I just dip and I get a whole bunch on there. However, you're gonna wanna make sure you spread that out. And it's just working with it and manipulating it. And see how you see globs? You never want globs, no globs. I couldn't remember if I went around this handle part right here or if I went over it, and I went over it. Okay, so just keep, you can see where there's globs. You'll be able to see that. So just keep working it, but work quick. Just spread it out. Have it be just a thin, even layer as best as you can. If you get any like pieces, like a little gob of, even if they're small, of Mod Podge, get those out. You don't want any lumps or bumps. So you can see where I went over the existing paper. So I'm gonna start to the back here. And I'm just gonna overlap just enough to cover where I put the Mod Podge. And I'm telling you, the Mod Podge with tissue paper is so good about making it seem like there's no seams. That's not the case with actual paper. So remember, make sure you're getting in those corners. The good thing is If you haven't pushed down on it, you can still lift it. Okay, so remember, we're gonna wanna just make sure those corners are good and tight. Very important, because you don't want it to lift. And that's why it's so important to get the Mod Podge in there when you are laying it all down. If you find a little section that may just need a tiny bit, just take your brush or sponge brush and just get in there. And as you're doing this, I just like to use just the palm of my hand and just to smooth down. And then I like to use my fingers for the crevices. Okay. Perfect. Alrighty. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna take, because I wanna be able to get in there and have no fuss or muss. We'll get that extra off. Okay, so you can see it's all the way around. All right, so let's get this. Remember, sit down and pull. And it just releases itself as you get all of it. Once you take this off, if you need to look at any little sections, you can. But guys, this can be done with anything. This can even be done with like boards. You can make a shelf and do this on a shelf. The process is the same no matter what you're using. If you have any frayed edges, just go over it with your sanding block, piece of sandpaper, your gator, whatever you've got. Okay. So ideally, you would probably want to take a razor blade, but I didn't bring one, so let's try this. This is not, having a razor blade is more ideal than this because it will rip it if you're not careful. So what I'm doing is just getting this little extra off. Sorry guys, gotta see what I'm doing. I'll show it to you in just a second. But you don't want to wait to take all these little pieces off because you don't want them to, you know, seal to the actual, what a container, canister, whatever you're doing. You don't want it to, you know, sit there. So get this kind of stuff off right away. All right. So I got most of it off. As you guys can see, there's still a little bit here. So let's take our sander. I'm just trying to go over this a little bit with my fingers too. If you're not doing a video like me, wait to do this. Wait for your project to dry. And then you won't have to do this extra that I'm doing. It's just because I'm trying to get it done while I'm on video with you guys. Okay, so I have a little section here. It just needs a tiny bit of Mod Podge. I probably had lifted it up when I was doing what I was just doing. Okay, so there we go. We've got it here and all the way around. I am going to leave this plain, I've decided, and I didn't know that until we'll leave this plain and the top. So it's mostly just this. You could do a cute little ribbon on the side if you want to, but what you're gonna wanna do with this is, because you are gonna be using water, you are going to want to seal this. So we'll start with the first side, and you're gonna just wanna Mod Podge over all of this. And then you're gonna wanna let it sit for a couple hours just before it's dry. But because I'm gonna use this for fresh flowers, then I don't want the paper to get ruined or to lift. So we're just going to do the same technique, thin, even layer, no globs. Make sure you're getting all the edges, you're getting all of it. This will just protect it. Because remember, guys, it's just tissue paper. You know, if you get tissue paper wet, it just like kind of dissolves. So we're just going over it. Thin, even coat. Getting all the crevices. So I know it's got to look ugly before it looks pretty. So I know you're going to see all that. That's okay. That will dry, and will dry with a, you know, with a coat over the top, so it will protect it. But you know, these projects can just be quick DIY projects. You know, this technique would be really great on tin cans, like soup cans and different cans that you know, vegetables that you get vegetables out of. This would be a great technique for that, honestly. Super cute. Drill some holes at the very bottom and turn it into, like, you know, plants or flowers, and give those away as little gifts. You know, or sell them. There's so many options. Tin cans are so underrated. They are just such an awesome, awesome tool to really recreate. It's the same thing. Like, this is metal. It's the same thing. Okay, so I think we have it all. I have a little Mod Podge on the handle. I want to get that off. Okay, so guys, this is it. So what I'm going to do is, after this is all dry, I'll take some pictures so you guys can see what it looks like. But taking something old, something new, and making it look old, taking something new that you're tired of and upcycling it, it does not have to cost you any money, period. Zero money. It does not have to cost money. So if you've got this stuff laying around, you've got the tissue papers. Another cool thing that I talked about in my last video is, if you have tissue paper, plain white tissue paper, it's a whole technique. You could look it up online. You can actually print on tissue paper and make your own designs and customize this. So it's totally something you could do. It's actually very, very, very easy. It's not intimidating. It sounds intimidating, but it's not. So you could do this technique with white tissue paper and just print on it. So there, like I said, there's some techniques to it, but it is really a fun technique to learn. So again, I think what I'll do after this is dry, I'll do a cute little ribbon onto the side, maybe some fabric, and we will just call it good. And then we could put some fresh flowers in here. So guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. Make sure you like and subscribe this video, and then to the channel. You can also find us on shopsweetpickins.com. We do have a website, and then you can find us on Instagram and Facebook. You just have to type in Sweet Pickins Reno, and Pickins is Pickins. A lot of people put an E in there, and it's INS. So you know, there's lots of ways and lots of things you guys can see, lots of things we're DIYing and crafting and baking and making. Plus you get to see all the new drops at our retail location here in Sparks, Nevada. So guys, thank you so much for spending time with me. I appreciate you so very much in supporting my small business. I will take a picture of this and I'm actually gonna put it on our Instagram page right away as soon as this is dry. I'll put some fresh flowers in it, and I think this is going to be such a cute upcycle. Thank you, Missy, for thinking of me and not just trashing this. I was able to give it some new life, so thank you so much. So guys, have a great day. I will see you guys soon.